Hey there guys, what's happening? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today I want to speak about what is the one thing that people often overlook when trying to get into the flow state. So when trying to get into the flow state, a lot of people like to get into action and doing. However, we have heard of it being a mental state that has to also do with the beingness aspect. Now, you can get into a sports scrimmage or get into a group of artists where you all collaborate on a painting together for an art project, or you could go into a new environment and try and use your pattern recognition software in your brain to try and, take different parts and elements of it to try and learn and be much more involved and engaged in what you're doing. However, whatever your craft is, whatever industry that you work in, whatever you're passionate about, the one thing that seems to hold people back from accessing flow state is past wounding or past trauma. And certain memories of the past get a lot of people stuck there in replaying the same movie reel over and over and over again. Alright? So, in TPM, I've helped people through this process through a TPM technique. And I've told people that, look, you've got to desensitize yourself, right? You've got to desensitize yourself to those past traumas, because this is the whole process of, post-war veterans getting PTSD, in a sense of, it's a concept called flooding, essentially, right? So let's say someone is afraid of a snake. You wouldn't necessarily put them immediately into a room full of snakes, right? Because they'd be terrified and they'd probably get a panic attack. However, what you can do is get them to Google images of snakes, get them more comfortable with that beingness. Then you'd get them to simply get a soft toy of a snake and cuddle it close to them to get them more comfortable with that idea. You see, what we're doing is we're getting the mind more comfortable with the idea. So this process of desensitization is really powerful when it comes down to past traumas, because, and this doesn't always work in the case of very, very severe traumas, right? But these are like the little mini traumas that really block us from our potential. I mean, very extensive trauma work requires practitioner work and release and all this kind of stuff. However, for the little memories that you might have had, let's say, my particular memory, I asked this girl to prom, she said, no, I only see you as a friend. Something really simple or silly like that, right? So, in an example like that, you can replay that event in your mind like you're watching it from a theater. You're just playing, rewinding, playing again, rewinding, playing again. And as you're rewinding, you're pressing the different buttons on the remote, and it's changing channels, okay? So you rewind, you play it again, this time it's a black and white version, right, like a silent movie. You rewind and you play it again, and this time it's like a Smurfs animated version of the same scene. You're seeing yourself like Blue as a Smurf character, and her as a Smurf character, right? Rhea, if you're watching this, sorry. I think I know I'm talking about you, but anyway. Rewind, and then play it again, and what you get is a Bollywood version. Rewind, and then you play it again, and then it becomes like a Wild Wild West version. Rewind, and you play it again, and it becomes like a sci-fi thriller adventure. Rewind, and you play it again. What you're doing is you're running the script in different ways. The same script in different ways, in different channels. So now you're used to it, and you're not as attached to the image, you're not as triggered with the image and the sound bites and the internal feelings and the images. You're not as attached to them and you're not as reactive to them because you flooded your brain with them, rewinding and playing it again multiple times. Okay? So this becomes a really powerful technique. Okay? I believe that I first got inspired by this technique from an NLP technique. However, I've really started to adapt it for myself and for my clients, and it's an incredible process of visualization and imagination. I think imagination is such a powerful tool to get us into the flow state, and this is a great way to just bombard your brain with the same mini trauma in different ways. And sometimes when you do it ridiculous enough, like if you imagine, like, let's say the stick figure version of you, right? If you imagine the stick figure version of you, you know, it's kind of funny. You're going to laugh a little bit. Or like the South Park version of you, right? Or the Simpsons, right? You can make it cartoonish. I primarily am very, very inspired by cartoons and animation because it's a different world. Okay, it's a very different world. The colors are very concrete. It's very 2D, and the colors are bright, and it gives you a different kind of feeling. Right? You're almost entering a child's world because they see things in this abstract way. And it's just a powerful tool to also get you into the flow state. So a lot of people overlook the traumas and the mini woundings that happen throughout life, like little events that we keep running in the script of our mind. However, once we can overcome this and we can start to flood our brains with it and not be so attached to it, and actually do also emotional clearing and releases. I recommend bioenergetics. I also recommend that you get with a practitioner to actually notice which kind of release is working for you the best, right? Some people need much more of a shaking or a physical release to get rid of that trauma or process it through something like breath work, for instance, okay? But yeah, this is your video for the day. I hope you have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. See you next time.